Okay, folks, good morning. What the hell happened? Oh, something just slid. This thing slid down. Gotcha. Yeah, so as promised, we're going to finish up the KVs, or attempt to do that. And we have all kinds of little plastic bits. This is where I would normally take the vacuum cleaner, but the entire household is asleep except me, and we want to keep it that way. So we will not fire up the sucker upper. It's a bit loud. There you are again, Mr. Mystery Man, not shown as one of the viewers. Maybe it just takes a while to register. Man, tell me you went to sleep and didn't pull an all-nighter. When you do an all-nighter, what do? You watch TV? I assume you do something. If I gotta try to fall asleep, television, well, I just don't like TV. That's too mindless. All right. No, you never sleep. Well, I didn't sleep much last night. I don't know if I even slept 4 hours. 5 hours. All right, let's put this blade that's kind of crappy in next. I did all the truck building with my contacts in. But now we've got tunnel vision, literally. Well, I really didn't make this stand any bigger than it needed to be, did I? I really went out of my way to... Well, I'd like for the stands to match. So this is probably the same size as something else, the JSU. Been watching Vikings. How wide are we looking? It's pretty wide. Let's just come in like this. And let's just come in like this. I don't remember exactly where I left off, but I'm not going to go back and watch that show. Oh man, these are brutal. I'm holding on to this thing. It's like killing me. Wow, this thing's sharp. I'm also putting a lot of pressure on it. The problem with my vision is I see really well up close, but then more than a foot away I'm legally blind. Let's try this one. Man, that one's brutal. Yeah, it's just that one. These are the Army Painter ones. This stuff right here is really, really sharp. You placed your order for Noble Knight, picked up SPQR, Deluxe Edition, and the Warrior Queen Boudica supplement for Great Battles of Julius Caesar, which I already have. All of them use the same rules. You decided at the end not to go on a spending spree, just stick with what you had in credit. Also picked up a near mint Star Wars novel too. Good morning, Glenn. You're up early. Good morning, New Jersey. Welcome back. Yeah, I don't know what it is about that particular one. It has those, like, the screw things on it, and they're all the same manufacturer. These are all Army painter. That one's brutal. You know, I only let this thing set for a week, and man, it got really hard. You know, that's what happens when you watch some show like Vikings. Something like that's a series. If you leave it for a while and you want to get back into it, at some point you realize, you know, I got to start over again. You know, because you forgot some of the details. I think this should do this side. And man, I thought this one only took about a couple weeks, but this one dried really, really fast. Four or so every day. I used to wake up at 4. And people think I'm crazy. I said, no, crazy is going to sleep at 2 a.m. every day. Waking up at 4, like if we got to go on a road trip or something, it's nothing to get up at 4. Or even get up at 3 and leave at 4. That's a lot better than driving after work somewhere. I would much rather leave at 4 in the morning than leave after work. When you're tired, everybody's driving like a maniac, like they should have left a week early. Everybody else on the road driving like an idiot. Okay, that works. Oh my, this really is early. Okay, well, you can go back to sleep now. I'll send you your merit badge. Yawning, no yawning. You need to have your coffee, man. Vitamin W, wake up. Vitamin, wake up. Started Vikings from the start. I figured, why not? You have a hard time keeping normal hours. I'm not working. I'm not sure why this is. I know I'm not alone with that problem. You're usually a night owl that has weird hours, but I need to change that in the next week. Yes, you need a wake up juice, absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't do this without coffee. That's stupid. That's and I drink a lot less coffee than I used to. I really don't like the taste of it, so that helps. But I've had some people say, "Oh, I can't really tell the caffeine." Bullshit. Yeah, you can. Maybe we could do some hobbying this morning without a bunch of. I don't know that they were that loud last night. They're really well behaved, but they were out playing Jackbox, or so I heard, which is an interactive video game you can play with your phone. And it's like a trivia type game. You can get like, I don't know, I think like 10 people can play. It depends on the game. It's really pretty cool. I'm a big fan of it myself. But I know lots of people who don't want to play it or are really shitty at it. Okay. Sadly, I think we need to cut into this, get this to fit in here. Did you get a laugh at the size of the model kit being nearly as tall? Man, I went right to bed. I didn't watch it. Sorry, I will watch it though. Sorry, I didn't finish my homework assignment. Sorry about that. As Luke would say, you had one job to do. I forgot. Okay. That one's about good to go. Take all these scraps. Gonna have to fail you today. Well, dude, you've been up a long time. You need to get some sleep. I mean, I didn't get any, hardly at all. And you got less than that, so. I was told that we needed to pick out our closets. My wife did a big closet cleanup, you know, her clothes closet cleanup yesterday while we were filming and the kids were watching stuff in the other room. I told her, I said, I don't want to sit here and do a closet. I could have been gaming with Mitch and instead I'll do a closet. I'm like, yeah, I'd rather pick up the house and play Flames of War. I think the guys thought I was kidding about me not coming over. I'm not going over. I'm good as my word. Sleep is for the weak and Rick. You know, one of my favorite things, well, it's not one of my favorite things, but I've been sleep deprived before, and it's very dangerous. I had an accident because I fell asleep, and there really wasn't anything I could do about it because it's not like I could pull over. I won't be doing that again. But that was many years ago. When you're so sleep deprived and you're somewhere and then you can just like stare at something and it's like entertaining and relaxing. That's actually kind of a good feel. I'm thinking, well, maybe that's what drugs feel like. But yeah, don't operate any heavy machinery if you're sleepy, because your body will freaking shut down on you and you got no control over it. Doesn't matter how much caffeine you got in you. Four hours a day. Yeah, it's just hard to. I should take a nap today. That way you get 2 Saturdays out of 1. That's what we do on cruises. Do nap on a cruise. Doesn't have to be very long. It can be an hour and a half, 2 hours. But there's always activities to do well into the night. And I'm not going to wake up at like 9. That would be, you know, a waste. So wake up early, have breakfast, do your stuff, have lunch, fall asleep from the lunch, wake up, it's another day. Nordic, you're into anime. Have you seen that Girls in Panzer or whatever the hell it's called? That silly Japanese thing? I have not. I've just heard about it. I don't want to watch it for the girls. I want to watch it for the Panzers. See if they got the road wheels correct. I don't have enough time off that I can keep odd hours. I just basically keep my work day hours every day. And just, you know how much people dislike Mondays. Can you imagine if you like had to wake up earlier on a Monday than you do any other day? That would drive me crazy. Well, it did. That's why I stopped doing it. So I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. You heard of Girls in Panzer? Never seen it? I'm selective in your anime. I am too. That's why I haven't seen any. I haven't found really anything that the plots are worth. And it's not because it's Japanese, because I don't watch the American cartoon shows either. You know, I don't watch Futurama or American Dad or none of that stuff. It's all not really for me. I guess there's a fair number of them. Let's make that a little bit bigger. Wide track vehicle. And then we'll glue this and let this thing percolate for a little bit before we finish her off. Go for it painting. Welcome back. Hey, what part of the world are you from? Go for it. When things get back in order, I believe me, I will have a structured sleep pattern. Yeah, I like structure. I like structure. We're friends with some people that do not have a structured life, and it drives you crazy. Chaos is evil. Okay. Let's get the old epoxy out and epoxy those guys down. And then we'll start on today's build, which is going to be SU-76s. And I did a little bit of research on which version I'm going to do. I think I'm going to make them all early because the later ones didn't come in until after Kursk. And it's not like I like one version less than the other, but I might as well have an appropriate time period. Because we're mainly thinking of them in 43. Now, I mean, they used them in 44, but by 1944, you got some nasty self-propelled guns in there that you could use as the Soviets. Oh, this is a big endeavor. We need more than that. Ragnar is about to blood eagle Jarl Borg. Man, I don't remember. I don't remember. My favorite scene was that one where they split their forces. That's not fair. They split their forces. Well, they didn't split their forces when they were defending England. I'm like, well, you make a terrible wargamer. That's the most vicious way to kill somebody in Viking society. I don't remember. I do not remember. It's kind of handy not remembering stuff like that because there's some movies after a while. As I don't like rewatching movies because I know what's going to happen. There's a couple movies after a while I forget exactly the details of what it's going to be, so you end up getting basically a free movie out of it. I never split your forces. It's stupid. Yep. Yep. You fight everybody or you fight nobody. You fight everybody at once. They hit you all at the same time. And then you can just be overwhelmed with people. I was on a slightly different note, but on a note of hitting everybody at once. I'm not even going to ask if you guys play it because I know nobody on my channel plays this, but even in earlier versions of Diablo, not necessarily the fourth one, is one of the characters you can play called the Necromancer, and they're kind of a manager, and it's not really my favorite kind of character, but I play them all. So you can experience different stuff. And they basically raise skeletons to fight for you. Well, the new one, you can have 5 or 6 standard skeletons, plus 4 or 5 mages, so they're like skeleton mages, so they're like launching attacks, and like a blood golem or stuff. So like you show up and there's like freaking 10 guys you're with. And if you're fighting enemies, there's so many of you hitting everybody at once that even if they're really deadly, they're changing. The enemy is like constantly changing targets, being really inefficient. So yeah, hit everybody at once with everybody, and that just reminded me of that. It's very difficult to play with other people because you just literally, most of the people on the game screen are your minions, and they're just all over the place doing all kinds of different stuff. You're kind of managing, making sure that they're healthed up, attacking guys that are particularly difficult. But there's just so many of your forces that are yours that the enemy can't help but get distracted and become inefficient because of that. Okay. Here's these two. I'm going to put something with a little bit of heft on top of this, holding this down. Mr. Heino, welcome back. You amused friends and family by referring to my triple bypass last year as my medical blood eagle. Oof. Oof. Alright, what can we put on here that's relatively heavy? Just to hold it down. Not doing anything with this. There's the charger for my phone. I don't really use it for my phone, I use it for my Bluetooth thing. Okay, let's take this old thing and put this one back. Now we're good to go on our builds. Alright. Let's put this here. We don't throw away X-Acto blades for whatever reason. In Warhammer 10 mil, the undead necromancer leader can sometimes raise undead units behind an enemy unit. I think it's kind of a cheap but sometimes fun. Well, as long as he's, as things aren't overpowerful or they don't have any weaknesses. I'd heard that on one of those Warhammer games, there was like a conga line of undead like vampire knights or something like that. One of my buddies was telling me about that, and it just seemed broken. All right, SU-76s. I've already built these hulls, which is the T-70s. Not these, but I've built this before. So it gives you a late and an early version in here to build. And there's not much difference between the two, other than the cabin. There's two for each one? Yeah. Okay. Let's just pull two out there. The cabin's either more or less protected. The later one is a little bit more protected. I mean, I'd show you, but you can't even tell the difference. It's these pieces are the difference. The red or the blue ones are the only difference. And I mean, you put them next to each other and look almost the same. Yeah, here's the difference. This is the early one. And this is the late one. The late one doesn't have this cutout here for the crew protection. It gives them a little bit more. But from what I'm reading, if it's a Games Workshop game, it's broken. If it's a Games Workshop game, it's being made for the wrong reason. It's being made to sell shit. So, SU-76M. Let's see. I was just reading about this just a moment. Changes were made to the design of SU-76M later on. Vehicles of later series received a higher stern armor plate of the fighting compartment with two firing ports and a larger door. A tube welded to the right and left sides of the back of a superstructure appeared to mount the machine gun for anti-aircraft fire. I've never seen an SU-76 with a machine gun. Mass production of the SU-76M ceased in the second half of 1945. Yeah, I can't imagine one of these in 1945. They're pretty shitty. I mean, it was better than not having one, but... we're going to make all three of them early, because I want to use them at Kursk. And they hadn't made that modification yet. Start painting undead enemy figures to suggest. Okay. Let's build one. I could get those nipper things, but I mainly just get excited to use them because I spent most of my modeling time never having any. You know, because you're a kid, you're a kid without a good job. Who the hell's going to spend $20 on a pair of something to cut things up with? Just so much more maneuverable to use these. Okay, that's the hole in those two things. You need the upper hole. The fighting compartment, which is here and actually has some nice little shells already cast in there. That's nice. And a front plate. This will be 2 steps worth of stuff. Okay. Where's my sandpaper? You can just get right on out of here, Mr. Iraqi Sand. Yeah, maybe if you have a history of starting your wargaming journey with Games Workshop, you have a different attitude about it. But since I didn't, there's a lot of things they do that I find very weird. And them not supporting their own system for more than a couple of years is definitely the biggest one in my book. Forget the cost of the stuff, because, you know, I think pretty much I've never heard anybody say that they don't like their figures. They just don't like the price point that they're at. You know, if you're into, I don't think I've ever heard somebody say, I don't like their things, they look too cool or whatever. You know, I don't like the fluff of their story, you know, but I think their products are pretty good. I like their paints. I just heard in the news the other day that SHQ is up for sale. And you got all these guys that are the first generation wargamers that are getting pretty old, and they don't have anybody to lead this industry to. You know, maybe they don't have kids, or maybe they have kids and they don't want anything to do with it. And people say it's the 3D printing things cutting into them as well. I think it's they don't have anybody to leave the things to is the bigger problem. SHQ said they had already been sold. They're keeping production running until the new owner has a facility ready. Aha. I can't tell whether this is flash or not. I have a feeling that it is. Because these little nibs sit here, and these are in the way, if that's the case. So this is flash. I'm not a fan of SHQ figures. They're a little too uninspiring. I have some, and everybody has the same equipment. They don't like. I'm not dying to paint them. And I can't remember if I have any of their vehicles. One guy had posted on one of the groups I saw, and I didn't get a chance to comment on it. And they said they had a picture of some figures, and they said, here is some Plastic Soldier Company figures, and here's some figures from shit. What's the name of it? Not Pegasus. Maybe it was Pegasus. It was either Pegasus or the other one. I get them confused with Caesar. I don't know why I get them mixed up, but I do. And he was like, I really can't. The heft of these is so different. I didn't get a chance to tell him. Oh, good thing you didn't. The sculpting style was so different. He couldn't see where you could use it. And I'm like, well, they don't look that different to me, at least from that distance that he showed the picture at. But definitely don't mix FAA and Britannia. That's the problem I had, is I had all the combat miniatures guys, and they didn't mix well with FAA. I don't think FAA mixed well with anybody in Britannia for the same matter. And I remember they used to, back when I was 20 years ago, man, Britannia stuff was everywhere. And I got a couple of their vehicles. I do not like their figures. Not dying to paint the AWI stuff. I find it funny that its speed through ACW seemed to put off from the AWI. I actually got it a Civil War game a couple years ago that had really good reviews. And it was called Ultimate General or something like that. AWI, I mean, American Civil War. And it looked beautiful, but the stuff that you did in no way represented anything ACW like. But a lot of these historical war gamers don't really know a lot about history. And I'm not saying you guys, I'm just saying people in the general public. The general population. This is why these things take a half hour to put together. Not because they're complicated, but you need to sand these little things, because if you don't do it, then it's going to look like you're going to be less than happy later on. But these things basically have no flash. Other than, these little injection points, which there's no way to avoid that. It's definitely not like that. It's like this. All right. The tactics of ACW is to get around the flank of position and cross the T. Of course, you need to do head-on fighting to do that. Yeah, crossing the T is a viable tactic, whether you're at sea or on land. Get all your guys to bear on only a few of the enemies, and then rape them. I got 2 more pots of this stuff coming. I plan on trashing this one because I screwed up the lid, the brush trying to pull it out. Refilling one of these so it's plenty full, and then I should have one that's empty that will move the microscale stuff into. And that way I can use that, because I am a fan of the microscale stuff. It smells a lot better. Not that this smells bad, but, and it's, I don't think it's that stinky, but my wife goes, "What are you doing in there?" And I'm like, "Oh, just putting, man, it smells really strong." I said, "Not really, but I guess if, you know, the problem is my hobby never has any smell to it." So, get used to there not being a smell, and then all of a sudden there is. Surprise! Here's the tricky part. Okay, there's a little oil thing. It's on the left-hand side. Got it. Is the more squat part of the tracks the front or the rear? I think it's the rear. Yes, it's the rear. It lays back. Kind of like those rednecks here have in those trucks. You guys have that in Australia? People that have pickup trucks and they have the back of them lowered. Yeah, it's punk ass kids with no taste. They want their truck to stick their nose out of people. Man, these things fit together well. Okay, it looks like this compartment's up here where it goes. All right, we want to assemble this first. Cute little thing, isn't it? Cute little commie bastard. It gets stinky after a while, especially if you're building a lot of pieces at one sitting. That was a very brief trend in the early 90s when the kids were using airbag suspension. Seems to have disappeared over here. Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes the bad habits that are prevalent here in this country end up translating to other places. Reality shows. Okay, that's being attached, and what else is down here? That just sits on top. Okay, cool. Let's just do that then. I didn't do that when I was a young kid because I didn't have the money for a vehicle. Problem solved. Can you still buy Tamiya cement from Hobby Lobby down there? No. No, they stopped it. So I had to mail order it from Amazon. And people give me shit. Oh, why are you buying stuff from Amazon? Because other stores had product and they stopped carrying it, and now I got to Amazon it. They did it to themselves. So I would much rather go to a store and pick up what I need, but those days are few and far. But I've gotten to the point where the only place I shop is the grocery store and Amazon. And I don't shop that much, but nobody has anything anymore. Up here, they stopped carrying it. Now they have Mr. Hobby. It smells horrible. I smelled a Mr. Hobby thing and it smelled horrible. I would use Mr. Hobby because it's Japanese. I'm a fan of things Japanese. Made in Japan. But I actually like this stuff the best. Micro weld. From California. So I'm going to empty one of these and I'm going to put micro weld in it. And this stuff smells, it smells nice. Not nice enough to like, let me huff it, but it smells like oranges. By microscale, the same people who do micro sol and micro set. And I knew about this in the 90s because we used this because the hobby store carried this stuff. And it's much better than it. The Testers is what I grew up using, the one that was a little bottle like this, the Testers. Joel gave me a bottle of this stuff, which is the liquid cement. I don't know that I will ever use this. This smells awful. Yeah. Oh, it smells like fingernail polish remover. I don't know that I'll ever use that. But this micro weld, big fan. So, and it works just as good as this. I just, you got to use your own brush. The main thing is you got to put this somewhere so you don't tip it over and spill your stuff. So I plan on replacing one of these containers with the micro weld stuff. And then I'll have both. So I don't know why they haven't come up with a better, better container. Here's the thing is it's non-toxic, but it's also flammable. I don't know how you can get away with both of those two things. But what sold me on this is the tip. Mind me to look into getting some cheap pastels and make weathering powder. Oh, that's so early 90s, man. People still do that? I mean, I do that because, I'm of that vintage. All right, we got the Canon. We got the crash boom thing, which is interesting because here the muzzle brake is drilled out. But on the anti-tank gun version, or the artillery version, it's not. Oh well, we won't be drilling them out. It looks just fine either way. Okay, here's the gun. And we have a top and a bottom piece. Let's see, it's not on that sprue. It's not this. It's got to be this. They just look so much smaller in the picture. Measure twice, cut once. Remember how I said there was no flash? There is on this piece. Hey, keep it down over there. We only have Revell plastic cement here, and that stuff stinks. Contacta. Never liked using the glue. I had to squeeze the container to get it out. Yeah. A lighter handy to unclog it. Whoa! Hide the eyebrows. Anybody old enough to remember Pactra paints? God, those things were ass. Those things were terrible. They were bad and the bottle design was bad. With nooks and crannies. I know other people that build models and all they use is super glue. Super glue is extremely unforgiving. Yeah, they were terrible. And you had that bottle design that was all like etched on the inside, so you couldn't mix them properly. Now I could probably paint okay with Tester's paints, the ones on little things. I mean, I have to thin them, but I could probably get by. I don't know why I'd want to. Maybe on a dare. And those brushes you had as a kid were just garbage. You're better off using a toothbrush to paint something. Only use super glue for photo etch. Yeah, I try to get away from it. I'm not a super glue fan. It's just too brittle. It's got zero give. All right, so these two pieces, oh, well, we got to clean this guy up too. Yeah, imagine having one of these little bastards. You're in it, and you come across a king tiger with a 76 millimeter. Let's use the back of the X-Acto blade. Not my idea. I saw it in a video and it was brilliant. Wanted to get a 1/35 or larger 2S1 Godzvdika. Is that Soviet Godzilla? To build for my grandson. It's what his other granddad used to drive when he was in the Soviet Army. Oh. Sounds like the title of a movie. So my granddad was a communist. I had a guy that used to work for me that was in the Hungarian army during the Cold War. I used to kid him. I'm like, oh. Meanwhile, on the other side of the Fulda Gap, that guy was a pain in the ass. And not because he was from Hungary. He was just a pain in the ass. He had zero tact. He'd go to a job site and people want to give him a hand, and instead of being nice to people, he would just go right off the ballistic thing. Hey, motherfucker, come and offload me, you know. And it was like, you're not going to get any favors being, you know, with that. You're not going to get any favors throwing poo on people. Self-propelled howitzer. Well, poor man's tank destroyer. I don't know if technically this is a howitzer. Howitzer has like a high angle of fire or whatever, but yes, it's all of the above. It's something for this thing to get a purchase on, and then drill this thing out. Cool. Well, that didn't take long to go right in. Nice. Hard to tell in the video. Let's just say it looks really nice. Currently working on finishing early Theban Army for Impetus 2 using Force and Battle miniatures. Then got a early Crusader Army to start using beautiful Legio Heroica. That's what she said. I missed it. But I believe it. She talks a lot. That is what she said. I used to say that, and it wasn't from watching The Office. It was from, growing up in the 80s. We used to say that. Late 80s. I never cared for The Office. My wife and I didn't care for it. My daughter liked it, so she watched it. So you like Impetus, huh? Because I've heard only bad things. I actually have the rules. I have basic Impetus. Beautiful rules. Just hadn't messed with them. That went in there pretty fast. That's what I said. Nice. Ah, yes, the double entendre channel. We gotta stop making jokes like that, or women will never want to play war games with us. People just need to lighten up. I make fun of everything. That's just the way I am. I don't boss my woman around. But you do need to lighten up. Ooh, that thing's gonna break. Let's all right, let's get the nippers out. All right, this is the later one. We're not going to use that one. We want to use these guys at Kursk. It's an Aussie company called SA, called Back to Basics. You get your basics from them. I am the people laugh. I'm an opportunistic, rapid-fire smartass. Yep. I agree, that's the way to be. Timing is everything. This is where being nearsighted really comes in handy. Attention to detail. Okay. Same on this side. I just don't want that center thing to break. And if it does, not a big deal. I can fix it. It's going to be sitting on a model, not moving. Okay, it's going to get in there. A lot of these model kits like have this fetish with making sure the gun is movable. That's interesting. I think I just found a mistake. I think I just found a mistake. And a pretty big one too. Yeah, I gotta show you this. Not something I can't get around, but I wasn't expecting this. So you have this piece here, and this piece goes above it, and this piece goes below it. And inside here, there's the rotation part, which is supposed to fit here, right? However, you can't get it in there. I know, that's what she said. Or can we? Can we force this? Oh man. Maybe I'm supposed to force it in? Yeah, you're gonna have a field day with what I'm saying. It just doesn't seem like it's lined up enough. Like this hole needs to be farther forward. There needs to be less meat here. This is it right here. Man, I don't want to force that and break the gun shield. Man, I don't. You know, if this piece was separate. All right. Damn it, I beat you to it. Yeah, I need to go grab a soda. I'll be right back. No sound. Yeah, it doesn't fit in this way either. Yeah, and this is supposed to be towards the top. Unless the drawing is back asswards. Well, here's this piece. Like this. And here is this piece coming in from the top. I'm not going to force it. I'm just move on to something else. It's like they just didn't make that hole big enough. Which, you know, the way to fix it is I'll just come in and cut it and open it up a little bit. I have the instructions upside down. Okay. Here's the gun. This is the drawing we're looking at. Here's the piece, right? This piece is this one. And it says to go in this way. Doesn't fit. And I've already put stress on it. Doesn't fit. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I could modify it. It's not that big of a deal, but it's like, sounds like a Facebook post. It's well within my skill set to fix it. I can't believe anybody complained about that. Yeah, you gotta go like a, I don't think it's even 2 mil. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this out. And then even if we get it to the, I bet it will fit in the right place once you get it to here, and then you can just push it back. Again, this is why I like plastic. I'm just going to enlarge that so we can get it in there. But again, if you're a kid, you're going to have the patience to do this. I still like their stuff, though. It's not a gripe against them, you know. Now we can get in there and it'll slide into place, but I needed to take that little bit out. You're killing me, Smalls. That's what it took. I'm surprised I didn't see any comments about that. Yeah, at some point you got to realize forcing it more isn't going to make it better. I know, there's another one. Yes, it's that kind of show. Use a bigger hammer. Okay, and then this little guy sits in here somehow. You know, there's over-engineered stuff, and then there's under-engineered stuff. Assemble gun and cowling to hull, yeah. And there's like no spot to attach this to. It just kind of magically floats up here. Not one of their better kits, folks. Not one of their better kits. Oh, we attach here too. Nothing you can't work around, but something that could discourage somebody that's 15 years old or 14 or... Now look at this tiny little lip that's there. Right here. And that's where this is supposed to attach? Seems hokey. How'd these guys beat the Germans again? Seems awful hokey. I'm actually not gonna attach it because I can see painting it and attaching it later to make my life a lot easier, getting in there and making sure that everything's covered like it's supposed to be. Okay, you can make the driver's hatch open. I may do one of them with the open driver's hatch, but here's this intake, and then the rest of it we just save as either crew members or commanders. Overwhelming numbers and a disregard for human life. That's right. What do you expect from communists? You know, I'm going to say this again, and I hope this doesn't get taken out of context. So let me explain it really well. I don't care if you take it out of context. Sucks to be you. You misunderstand what I'm trying to say. If you had to be in the armed forces of either the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany in the Second World War, if you are an active soldier, I think you would be better off being in the Nazi Germany army because both regimes suck, but I have a feeling that they care about their soldiers more than the Russians do. The Russians just flat out didn't effing care. Oh, that goes on there nicely. Well, so one of the things that really held up the production of German vehicles is as soon as there was an improvement, they would stop the production line and make small improvements that would be better on the vehicle for the crew. And the Soviets were like, oh, just fucking deal with it. I'm picking the Germans over the Soviets. Yeah, both regimes are bad. I mean, for the people that are in them. But I'm just saying, if you are an active soldier, it's got to be terrible to be a Soviet soldier. They just don't care about you. They don't care if you survive. And, you know, there's some German units that they didn't care if they survived either. I'm just saying as a general rule. All right, here is the hatch. But I don't have a problem playing Soviets. They're fun. They got cool kit too. Their late war planes are gorgeous. Those Yak 9s, those are beautiful aircraft. And I like almost all their tanks. All right, we've got a couple. They have this thing that goes on the outside. On this side. Okay, and this is marked good to go in that spot. Okay, cool. All right. Where to next? Driver's hatch. It's funny, when I was a kid, I mean, I've been nearsighted my whole life. Probably to the same degree all along. About a -6. And it never occurred to me to build models without glasses on. I only did it when I had to. Because I just couldn't freaking see. Or hobby without my glasses on. So now sometimes I'm doing stuff in 20/20 with contacts in, sometimes using readers, sometimes using the 3.5s, sometimes without the contacts in like I am now. I mean, these things take a while to put together if you're going to put them together right. If you're just going to throw them together with flash and stuff, then yeah, you could be done in an instant, but... Yeah. Open that hatch and you end up using your face as a catcher's mitt for a shell. Put her there. Okay. Exhaust. Exhaust A and B. Let's close this up. And we got a couple toolboxes. Let's go ahead and pull those off. And the short back plate. Toolboxes. And the two exhaust pieces. This is more delicate. We'll cut that one first. This one's more delicate. Yeah, this stuff cuts really well, actually. It's not very brittle. All right, now we can take and put the flash and eliminate the flash. I actually don't mind doing this. I don't like doing the flash on, time for another piece, on the white metal figures. It bugs the hell out of me, but working with this stuff's okay. You're gonna get some sleep. I shall catch you later. All right, man. I should be on tonight, I would think. Maybe I'll remember to have some scotch. Not that it's important. Adult beverage. Okay, so this plate. Oh, did we just find another mistake? No. Was I supposed to put this on earlier? Nope. And they should have told me to. I mean, I can get it in there, but man. There we go. Well, I guess it's a good fit. Nice detail on the back there. Okay, so let's pop this up a little bit. That's good enough. Get some glue in there. Get some glue down here. This applicator is amazing. Get some in here. Now we'll pop it into place. Cute little thing. I know this stuff has been around a long time, but I really like this sandpaper that's on this synthetic material. Not like actual paper, but like a sheet of transparency. So much nicer to work with plastic than this. And I think you can use this as wet sandpaper too. Drilling out the tailpipe just a little bit. It's an easy thing to do. It just adds a nice little detail to it. It's super easy. And really satisfying. I like drilling stuff out like that. I didn't do that when I was a kid because I didn't have drill bits. You know, when you build models as a kid, you end up like just being like an expert at cutting corners. Like, I don't need to paint it gray, it's already gray. Why am I painting the hull of the battleship? It's already gray. Make up nothing but excuses. Okay, I need these two. Which of these two are showing? This one's going like this, so that end is also going to have the exhaust. Just a little divot. All right. The big one goes on the inside. Let's get our tweezers handy. Big one goes on the inside and it feeds into this box like so. And then the other one there's pretty much only one place for this thing to go, and it's like this. The other one sits beside this one. And attaches like that. Let's go ahead and glue this one in place. Okay, this one sits like this, so some of this is showing. Let's give this a little bit more attention to the top here. Okay, I'm not going to scrape the top of that piece because I think that's not flash. I was reading something on the Panther's exhaust the other day, because the Panther I'm going to build has multiple that was unexpected. Has multiple exhaust pipes. And one thing they were saying is there's 4 on one version of it, 4 exhaust pipes. 3 on one side and 1 on the other. And the 2 middle ones are the ones that they said basically were the ones that that would get rusty. The other 2 would not. And I'm like, man, how would you know that? Like, it's just natural to be, you know, a exhaust is the rusty part because it gets really hot and it's thin sheet metal and it rusts big time on just about everything. How would you? I would have not known that. I would have painted all of them rusty. And ultimately, it's not a big thing. Nobody would know. But as a matter of fact, if I go and paint them right, I'm probably going to say, hey, how come 2 of them aren't rusted? Things you find out along the way. Six viewers, man. Good morning, folks. Or good afternoon, or good evening. I guess it depends where you're at. Get that little mark off there. Perfect. Okay, and these 2 little storage boxes fit in between here. Let's take that little bit of... As soon as I say, hey, these things don't have a whole lot of flash, they have more flash than they've ever had. Okay, and the latches are towards the bottom. Okay. And there's another little piece that goes up here. Assemble toolboxes, tarp, and backplate. I don't see a damn tarp. I also don't see a little round piece. Oh, here it is. Oh, I guess that's a little tarp that's all tied up. It almost looked like something else. Oh, and that goes on the side of the vehicle here. Well, we're not going to put that on all of the vehicles. I'm actually not going to put it on right now. Yeah, it's pretty quiet when he's not here. He's probably doing a fair amount of typing, and other people aren't, and that's fine. I probably am not going to want this on all the vehicles. It goes like here on the side. I'll probably put it on one, and that'll end up being glued. Like so. Yeah, cute little vehicle. All right, there's one. Next, where's the screws? Can't find a single one without my glasses on. Yeah, their stuff's actually pretty detailed. It really is. You know, it's got tools on it and stuff like that, and they go together pretty well, except for that one piece. Which wasn't a big deal. It just creates self-doubt, you know? All right, let's do the other ones. Or let's do another one. I'm disappointed that a lot of people have jumped ship from this scale. I mean, I got into this scale because of the figures I was using for gaming, so you know, I'm too committed to 1/72 to do anything else. And it's not like I'm playing a game where I need people to supply stuff for me to play in it. I'm doing my own stuff. But of course it means, because of the nature of it being 1/72 scale, once again, almost everything I want is coming from good old, jolly old England. I love their running gear. One piece, move on. I mean, I could build a separate, I'm not scared of separate link, but it just saves so much time. The girl's awake already? How long have I been on here? It took over an hour to build that one vehicle. Yeah. Sometimes things take a while. Don't make any effing plans. It'll be done when it's done, and that's when it'll be done. No point in rushing and doing a crap job at something. I'm really disappointed at the availability of some vehicles for the Western Desert. Matildas, for instance, on this scale. I can't use the S model ones because apparently the S model ones have things that were for Russia only. I'll have to look into that. And the S model A13s are the wrong version for that. Need to buy a conversion kit. It's one of those things that if you don't know, it's not a problem. But as soon as you know, you're like, oh, crap. I can't use that now. Not in good faith. You know, not when I'm going to spend a couple hours painting something. I'd like for it to be the correct whatever of it. Dick and I have 176 scale figures in metal available in gaming stores is a major reason why the scale hasn't taken off. It was still popular in the 70s, yeah. I think that a lot of people just get their gaming start with Warhammer something or another. So they're already used to the 28 millimeter. I never did, so I don't have a love or affinity for 28 millimeter. And you know, I used to build 1/72 scale planes and stuff, so it's kind of nostalgic for me. But I don't really care whether it's popular or not. You know, this is what I'm going to do. Won't see me doing any 28 millimeter stuff. It's just not a fan of it. I feel like the figures can sometimes look uber cartoony. Not always, but sometimes. This is a problem with their mold. Those coming up. Watch me lose a finger on live feed. I'm not going to say it. I don't believe in hexing myself, but I've been fortunate that I don't really injure myself when I do this. I'm also not putting a tremendous amount of horsepower behind it. I'm a lot more likely to hurt myself doing things in white metal because you do have to put a lot of force behind it. But you can't always cut away from your blade and stuff like that. I don't know what, back in the day, I think part of the problem was the scarcity of models. Seemed like half the stuff was the 172nd, the other was 176. That always put you off a bit. Yeah, I don't know why they decided to do the two. I prefer 172nd because the models seem to be, the figures seem to be overscale, so they look better with the models. I'd say there's more variety of, well, there's some companies that all they do is 176 scale stuff. And it's not necessarily the worst detailed ones, because one of my favorite ones was Cromwell. And all of Cromwell's stuff is 176. SHQ is 176. MMS is 176, and so is Millicast. But I mix the two. I don't have a problem with it. There's bigger things to worry about. Mr. Barnes. Weren't you on already? I mean, you were on last night. Mr. Barnes, one of the consistent people on here. Excellent. Glad to have you back. Pretty cool finding that error in the kit. Speaking of errors in the kit, I really want to get some M10s, but the Armor Fast ones, the older version of the Armor Fast, has no breach. And that's kind of a deal breaker to have an M10 with no breach, because it's pretty prominent. It sticks out of the crew compartment. And the newer version of that kit does have it on there, but how do you guarantee you get a newer one when you order it? So I'm just scared of that even being a consideration. Then the grocery shop. You like going to the grocery store? I don't mind. I don't like going every freaking day, which sometimes seems like that's the case, but I don't mind going. I don't cook, but I do buy groceries. Meaning, I'll go buy groceries for the clan. I don't mind doing that. Man, they've got some really incompetent people working at grocery stores these days. I worked as one for a couple of years as a kid. And yeah, they got some people that wouldn't have made it in the 1980s working at a grocery store now. Fortnightly. Every 14 days? Well, if you can get away with that, that's pretty good. Mitch works at a grocery store. I tell him all the time, so you need to straighten your people out. I think it really sits on here very much, but do I do much gaming with Mitch since I stopped DBA? Well, technically they play every week. It just depends what they're playing, you know. He plays all day, so his Saturday is Monday. His Saturday, Sunday is Monday, Tuesday. So they're playing today, but they're playing Flames of War. I just don't want to give up my Saturday to play Flames of War. I'd rather do stuff with my family. He plays other stuff, and he's willing to play everything. I'm just tired of. I just got tired of it. I got tired of being tortured by the freaking rules. And it's keeping me from doing World War II shit. I realize that. I'm like, I can't make any headway. I'm always doing something else. And there's a couple things I've changed that I'm just not going to go back to. I'm not going to build things for a show or an event. They'll get done when they get done. You know, this is supposed to be therapy, not another form of stress. And he's playing with, he's got a couple, you know, he's off the whole day and he games all day long. And we've got a couple different groups of people. We got some retired folks that only play when I'm at work. So whatever they're playing, I don't get to play in. And that kind of sucks because sometimes what I want to play is what they're playing. But, you know, it is my Monday. So I've thought of just starting a new game group that plays, you know, on days that most normal white collar people are off. Saturday and Sunday. This skirmish thing, I'm not doing it over there. People will have to travel here to do it or they won't play. I've got to, it's too much of an ask for everything I'm doing with the heavy lifting. So it'll be on my schedule. So, but yeah, we play other stuff. I just, it was just becoming too much. You know, like for instance, on Monday, Marty came up and we ended up playing a board game. We ended up playing one of those Crayon Railroad games, which is a great game. But then the game got over at 10:30, and then I sat around and bullshitted with him for 2 hours. It's my own fault. It is a social thing, so that threw my entire sleep off all week long. So I'm just tired of killing myself to game on Mondays. So, am I going to game on Monday? Yeah, I need to just be more antisocial and not leave when the game goes. You know, my biggest gripe is none of the people. It's just I have a job that I have to do a lot of planning, and things go sideways, and there's no way to fix it. And I just really have a problem when people can't decide until the last minute whether or not they're even going to show up. And it bugs the living shit out of me because it's like I'm reliving my job for no pay. So we have lots of situations where who's coming? Oh, this person. Okay, let's do this. And then all of a sudden at the last minute, I can't make it. All the time. And it's just I've almost gotten to the point like, fuck it, I'm not going. It stresses me out, you know. And that's one of the reasons I stopped playing DBA is I was tired of doing all the organization, like putting games on and, you know, I mean, we got videos how to play the game. We're putting everything on, doing the awards, and some people just don't have the responsibility of showing up. They just don't care that much about it. Well, you guys are on your own now, you know. So it's kind of like if you have a gym partner, and I had this, you know, I had a guy you go to the gym with all the time, and he starts coming up with excuses for missing, and the next thing you know, you don't want to go either because you end up, you know, just getting tired of the chaos. I am not a chaos fan. So, yes, we game, but you know, I packed my figures. We're going to play some Line Rampant. So I packed my DBA figures. They've been packed for 2 weeks now because you don't know who's going to show up. And I don't want to play it and the wrong people are there. So, I mean, I get people don't show up because there's an emergency. They happen to everybody, even me. But man, have a little bit more respect for people's time. Like, there's this game that they're playing today. There's one of Mitch's friends coming up from Tampa. And he's a cool guy. I like him. I've known him very little, but my interactions with him have been positive. He's got a good attitude. He's like, I said, well, we're doing this Flames of War battle. And this was like 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, well, I won't be there. Well, how come? I said, because I've played Flames of War a couple times, and I don't want to give up my whole Saturday just to play Flames of War. I'm sorry, other people don't play stuff that I want to play, so. No, I won't be there. And they're like, yeah, you are. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm good at my word. When I say I'm not going to be somewhere, I will not be there. I may come by for a beer or something, but I'm not hanging out there all day long. So, but yes, still gaming, just not as religiously as before. Probably be the best way to say it. And I'm a lot happier. You know, when I'm over there, I'm staying up all night. I'm neglecting my family, in a way. um, I'm not online with you guys, which it's a factor. I mean, you guys don't run my life, but I do enjoy hanging out with you guys, and I'm doing fun, relaxing stuff while we're together. It's not like I'm being tortured. I enjoy doing this. It's stuff I have to do anyways. So I'll go over there and game if it's worth the because the factor of all that other stuff. I don't do it to like, hey, well, you need to play what I'm interested in. You guys do whatever you want. If I find interest in it, I'll be there. If not, I won't be. You know. Just like the DBA scene. Some guy was going to take over and he was going to run everything. How many months has it been and the scores are still not up for the events? That's why I'm not involved in that anymore. It's a lot of work. And if people don't appreciate the work you're doing or take it for granted, after 15 years, you're like, well, let's just move on to something else. Because it's keeping me, it's draining me, and it's keeping me from doing stuff that I want to do that I haven't done in 20 years. Because this is what I want to do right now. But I want to play Lion Rampant with 12-point armies because I don't have enough figures to do 24-point armies. And I'm not painting more figures. I'm not going to build more figures just to play Lion Rampant. I'll play with what I have. And that's good enough for me, or I just won't play it. I'm not adding stuff to that. It's going to keep me from doing this. So. Okay, we know this is the back piece. Long-winded enough of an answer for you? What do your girls think of my hobby? This came up the other day. They don't really get it, but it's a good hobby because I'm here. I'm not out, screaming at the television, watching sports or some shit. So, I mean, it puts me in a better mood doing it, so that part's good. But my daughter she just graduated from high school, and we had kind of a get together here for her the other day. And we had some people over here at the house that we've known for a while, and they were involved in a sport that my daughter used to do, synchronized swimming. And we get along with them pretty well, but they've never come over to the house, and we were just kind of almost having like an open house. People would come in and leave and stuff like that. And I was in my room talking to this other guy, and I was showing him my hobby, who I've never shown him before. And the thing I hate about this hobby, it is so, and you guys get it because it's your hobby too. But people in the real world don't know what this is. And I never talk about it because I don't think it's something that relates to most people, that they would even be able to understand or appreciate it. And, I have a whole case of freaking almost 100 tanks that I've built in the last year. So, it's pretty impressive now. Because even though I've got a lot of 15 millimeter figures, it's taken 15 years to paint all those guys up. But people in the real world don't get this. So I don't ever get to show people the real me. And one of the ladies that was here, and she came and hung out here with her husband in my room, and we were having scotch and for a long time, basically talking about my hobby with normal people, people that didn't have this hobby. And I realize most people, unless you guys online, you get it. Most people don't know the things that define me. Like, this kind of stuff defines who I am. The history, the wargaming, the putting models together, the being creative, the painting things. You guys get to see that part of me. People in the real world, other than the two girls, they don't get to see it. And the two girls aren't, the wife and the daughter, they aren't really interested in this, So you guys really get to know me better than people that I, work with, or people that are my neighbors, because this isn't something that I talk about. And it's not that it's something that I'm embarrassed of, because hey, in this new generation, you've got to embrace people, no matter how fucking weird they are, right? Well, this isn't that weird. People have been building models and stuff for years, but it's just something that people just don't relate to, So I kind of have a bad attitude about embracing things that people like. Everybody in this town goes out and watches sports and screams at the television and stuff like that. And I'm like almost like anti that, because like you don't embrace what I do. But I kind of keep it to myself. Not because it's something I'm embarrassed of. If I was, I wouldn't be doing it on YouTube. But it's a very limited audience. Yeah, and I told this lady, I said, this lady that was here with her husband that I've known a while, I've never talked about this hobby. They're like, I realize that unless you're in the hobby, people don't realize what defines me. I'm not defined by what I do for a living, like some people are, that you go and you get together and that's all they do is talk about work. And I want to kick ass at work, don't get me wrong, but I'm not an attorney that all talks about attorney stuff or, that kind of thing. This is wargaming and this kind of stuff. That's really the what defines me more than anything else. And most people just don't know about that, And and people that don't know, they always say like, "Oh, I don't understand how you can do that. How you can be so patient." I said, "Well, you don't understand. Everything I do here goes right. This is like a win. Every time I'm here doing stuff, even with the problems I encounter, like I'm not letting that stop me. Like, oh, this doesn't fit. Screw you. We'll go around it, So it's all empowering stuff happening here. So, yeah, it's kind of sad, really, but that's one of the reasons I enjoy hanging out with you guys, or you guys hanging out with me, is because I get to talk about stuff that I don't get to talk about with anybody. And it's not because this is some perverted thing. It's just people are simpletons, and they don't understand this kind of stuff. Like I said, even if people were just into history, and they didn't do the hobby, I could appreciate that. But people just don't give a shit about it. None of that stuff. And I don't buy the whole nerdy argument, because sports nuts are sports nerds too, So anyways, that's the kind of realization I've had in the last month is, yeah. People live next door. They don't know jack shit about me. they're a little weird, anyways. They mow the lawn at night with a lantern, and there's something going on there. But yeah. Those people that are defined by their jobs, good for them. You know, that's just not me. It's never been me. They don't make, you can't make a living off the stuff that I'm interested in. You know, that's also why I'm not one of those people that changes jobs every year. You look at some people's resume and I'm like, Jesus, what's wrong with you? You're getting kicked out from every place, you know. In a span of 7 years, they've had 8 jobs, you know. And they're like professionals. They're like, oh, we got to move up and do this other stuff. And I'm like, there's enough chaos and problems at my work. I need to do things that don't bring any of that when I'm not there. When you were going through Santiago, Chile airport about 10 years ago with miniatures, the customs guy was like, what's that? Then another one had a look and he said, I think they're Bavarian Napoleonics. Wow. That's how I found out the local club in Chile. Wow. When I went and I traveled to Historicon, I had my Romans with me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got triarii with actual needles. You know, you can't poke yourself just grabbing them because I file them down. But I'm like, oh man, I wonder if this is going to be a problem. But I get ignorant people like, you know, I'll bring medieval figures. Are those Romans? Yeah, whatever. Just let me through TSA, man. Yeah. I think it's a wonderful hobby. And you guys get it, but it's just, and building models is a hell of a lot more common than wargaming. And wargaming is a hell of a lot more common than historical wargaming. So it's like a niche within a niche within a niche within another niche, you know? And, you know, hobby stores are few and far between. You find one now, it's all RC crap. And I'm like, if I wanted to drive a virtual car, I just fire up a video game. You know, it's a hell of a lot less problems, but. But a lot of people aren't artistic. I was always artistic. I used to draw. I don't draw now because I do this. So, you know, I got to have something to soak up those creative energies. But I get really angered. I was going to say militant. That doesn't sound like the right thing. I'm not militant. I'm not out to convert people. But I get really bothered when people think that it's like this is something weird that we all do. I said, no, an adult dressing up in My Little Pony, that's fucking weird, okay? This is just, you know, like I like to paint. I need to do another background. I want to do a Ukrainian background, you know, with some fields and stuff like that. Historical wargamers generally have a better grasp of current events because they can relate to how we got here. Yeah. Every single thing we do about this hobby, at least me, I'm always thinking. I mentioned this the other day. I know a couple of older gentlemen. They're not that old, but they were in their early 70s. I'm sorry, that's not that old. I don't think I'm going to feel that old when I'm in my early 70s if I make it that far. I got 20 years to go for that, but They were workaholics, and they retired, and they went to just watching television, and their brain collapsed. I don't think that's going to happen to me. I'm constantly thinking about stuff. I don't want to be stressed about shit, but I always like to be thinking about things. It's fun. It's empowering. And that's why I hate television. You just sit there and you're just looking at things that have already happened that you have no control over. You know, wargaming, you get to research thing. I wonder which version of SU-76. You go and you read about it. You learn real things that happen in real life. You know, it's fun. I've always said wargaming is about learning. Yeah. Current events, I don't pay attention to current events. But I get what you're saying. But there's some people that are ignorant that are war gamers. So they're historical gamers. So it just depends on the person. And, unlike reenactors that I have zero interest in ever doing, that just sounds like, being tortured by the elements. I feel like this is a way to participate in history. You build things for it, you research things, and it's a way to participate in a roundabout way, but example, today in Russia, the Wagner group is fighting Russians in a drive towards Moscow. How does a regular citizen understand the significance? Yeah, well, we understand distance. We understand that they could put one of us in one of these military units and we'd probably do okay. I mean, as far as commanding shit. We have a clue. How many battles have you won? Yes and no. You know what I mean by that. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Russia. Maybe I should pay attention. I don't pay attention because I've been what we're getting has been manipulated too much. So it's like it's not even if you're just gonna lie to me, then I'm just not gonna pay attention. That's the only reason why. It's not that. Not any reason other than that. When that current war started, I'm like, well, there'll be some. I mean, not that I want war to happen, okay? Because I am a pacifist, but but it's interesting. It's kind of like seeing people that like watching horror movies want innocent people murdered. No, I don't. Well, there may be some, but I mean, I don't watch horror movies, but I love seeing war stuff. But war's bad. All right, let's put a. This does not have to be very deep, just a little bit of a divot to get the impression that there's depth inside this. And that's it. It's not much. Just a little something something. Okay? I think one of the most important things, more important than history, you're talking about significance, is geography. I think just having a good grasp of geography is like so freaking important. It's, and I got a really good grasp of that compared to even more than history. I love maps. And it just so happens I have a map type of job, kind of in a way. I tell people where to go, so I'm really good with directions. I have a good grasp of that. I just got that from my dad, and just, what I'm particularly interested in. It's like, even when I travel and stuff, I'm like, all right, I look at which way to go, and then I'll put Waze on or whatever to make sure that it avoids me traffic. But I don't automatically say, okay, well, a car, tell me how to get there. I'm like, no, you're just a fucking car. I'm deciding how to get there. Show me some maps. But having a really good grasp of directions and stuff, I think that's I can't imagine not having that. I'd rather not be able to paint and not lose my sense of directions. All right, now, this beast that does not go together well. Well, we did kick this beast's ass, so. Gonna be another thunderstormy day. I don't know, I hear a lawnmower out there. I thought the Wagner group was a Ukrainian unit. What do I know? I don't pay attention to that stuff. I did the first week, and then they pulled that fast one with that whole, guys that surrendered on that island, and did a 180 on the story. And I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time on your that would not even a manipulation on purpose, but just admit you don't know shit instead of just reporting stuff and just treating it like it's the word of God. You put your own, you add doubt and wondering what people's motivations are. So I just don't pay attention to none of it. SU-76s, yeah, baby. We got one of them fixed. We also have a problem with this model. Do you have any of these, Marcus? If not, you're about to see what the problem is. I did solve it, though. And where were you? You must have slept in. You don't get to do that. You're like me. You don't get to sleep in. There we go. Nice barrel. They're like Russia's Blackwater. Okay. But I hadn't known they'd turn treasonous till I read that. Yeah. I don't know what the hell's going over there. None of it makes any bit of sense whatsoever. None of it makes any sense. There are forces at play that we do not understand. Okay, so here's the problem, okay? They want, I'm not going to pull out the instructions, but they want this piece to slide in there, and it doesn't fit. It will not fit. This little notch for this little rotation part does not fit in there. And you can go and watch earlier in the video today that it in fact did not fit. And it is, the instructions are wrong, all kinds of stuff. It would work if somehow you could attach this gun shield afterwards, like by sliding it on. But the fact that it's stuck in that position, you cannot get this in here without probably breaking this. But it will fit once you get it over there. So what I did was just cutting this little bit out. Again, the benefits of using something plastic. Just to get it to be able to turn this corner and get in there. You don't have to apologize for anything. I generally didn't think you were here. Because it's almost time for you to go make breakfast. Yeah, I know what your schedule is. You're consistent. I value that a lot. People with a routine. Okay. So now we can pop in, and now it'll fit in where it's supposed to be. But a 15-year-old me, that would have just broken them. I would have just turned to blubber. That would not have worked well. But yeah, there we go. Not a problem now. Nobody makes a perfect model kit. Nobody. The other thing that's really weird about it is there's like hardly any purchase to be able to attach this thing on here. It like sits on here, but you're going to have this little surface that's going to be where it attaches here, and that's it. You know, so I'm not going to attach that permanently at this point. I'm going to leave it so that I can paint the interior. It just makes it easier. I can get in there just for getting the black in all the right places. You know, the dark stuff. I don't want any of this light gray plastic showing, so I'm going to do it like that. And this should be able to slide back in here like the other one did. Yep. Well, they need to do something in Russia before the Ukrainians come in. If they're launching some offensive, come in and start taking Russian territory, and then they're like, well, fuck it, we might as well use nukes because we don't need that. we don't need that shit. Nobody, the world doesn't need that. I'll say it again, one of the worst inventions ever created was freaking nuclear weapons. Okay, this one's already glued. This little guy hangs out over here. All right, let's glue him down. I am not going to make this one with the open hatch on the front. I may not do one. I don't really want some guy to play catcher's mitt with his face. Okay. And exhaust time, we got those two drilled out. This one's going to fit like so. This other guy hangs out next to this one, like so. Let's clean this up a little bit. There we go. Two little boxes go on the other side. And the tarp, if I choose to put it on there. We can decide that later. I want them to be different, the three of them. But I want to use all the early SU-76s. They're a Kursk. I need three of them actually or two, for one of the Kursk games. Actually, I think it's three. I'm just going to use those scenarios as inspiration. They're way too large, especially early on, to get people to play them. They got too much stuff going on. And I think when the girls are gone, I'm probably going to go to the fabric store and probably try to do my own, what do you call it? Battle mat. Teddy bear fur battle mat. I think I got the skill set to be able to kick one of those things right in the ass and have it turn out really well. It's got to be something I got to work out for a while. Two down. Third one. You know, last night I just did the trucks. And I'm like, man, I could have done something else. But you know what? The trucks are done now. What are these feet? Yeah, pretty good looking. I'll do the third one with the optional hatch open. Be right back and check on something. I would be interested to see you do a battle mat. I brought two from Sarabots. They're very basic, so I need to add material for roads, fields. Yeah, I don't. The one I have from that manufacturer that will not be named that I had the issue with is actually, I rolled it out the other day. It actually looks really nice. It just has those damn creases. It has those creases where the actual printing is scuffed on them. So that's unfortunate because it's actually really well done. And the color is perfect. I mean, the color is literally perfect. With little rocks, it's just, you know. But they're either extremely incompetent or they're just being completely nefarious. Like if you're not going to send me a replacement mat, just tell me fuck you, or I'm not sending you one. I don't have a problem that I got a cheap mat. I have a problem that I got a damaged material. And at first I wasn't going to say anything about it. And I'm like, this is really bugging me because other people have gotten good mats. Why do I get? I mean, first of all, and I told them, I told them off the bat, I said, I've got a YouTube channel. I could be promoting your products. Like, why wouldn't you, I don't want you to give me the mat for free. I'm not interested in that. Just don't give me a shitty product that doesn't work. So, but the person's not well. I think the person is just not well. It's been 6 months and they haven't made it right. They supposedly have sent out the mat multiple times. It's gotten lost, and I think they just don't have the balls to tell me that they don't want to give me a replacement mat for whatever reason. I don't have a problem with their material being thin. It's a little glossy. That doesn't bother me a whole lot. But, it's discolored. It's discolored, and I haven't even used the thing. So it was sitting in storage. They probably couldn't move them. And it was in the storage that was probably really hot, and it was already prepackaged, it bent, and that's where it got this, the color came off. And the only reason I got this particular mat was because I heard good things from someone else that I know that had a good experience with them, and they had an offer of free shipping, and I couldn't turn that down because that's half the cost of the mat. It's just shipping it to me. But I've been relegated to only being able to use it for a background of my finished models, and that's not what I got it for. So I've contacted them several times. Oh, we'll send you a new one to review. That was back in December. Didn't get that. Oh, we forgot. Oh, well, it's been a long time with the postal strikes. Okay, give them another month. It's been like 6 fucking months. Meanwhile, the thing on their website was like, don't complain to Etsy about it. Contact us and make it right. So I've lost my window. I've lost my window a long time ago. So I got nothing to lose at this point. So every 3-4 weeks, I'm going to be emailing, where is it? And then at one point, they're probably going to piss me off, and I'm probably going to post the conversation and just see how absurd it is. It's just, I don't know. I work in customer service. Just about everybody works in customer service, and that's just not how you do business. That's just not how you do business. And if you did get stuff lost in the mail, you wouldn't be like, they lost another one. I mean, you'd be pissed. You'd be pissed if you were sending stuff out and your customer wouldn't get it. So that's why I don't want to be sponsored by anybody. Imagine I was sponsored by a plastic soldier company. Well, I like their stuff a lot. It probably would be okay, but I wouldn't hide that there's a problem with the model. Like, dude, you guys have to fix that. I mean, it ends up not being a big deal, but people need to know about it so that they go in with, all the facts. But I don't even want this guy to give me the mat for free. Just, man, make it right. I've got a damaged product that I'm going to showcase all this stuff that I'm putting a whole lot of effort in painting, and you're going to make my game look like shit, and I haven't even used it yet. It just doesn't seem, I haven't had very many bad experiences with war game traders. This is certainly one of them. But just a shame. Okay, let's do the middle one. How did I get paint on this thing? Or is that old? Hit the like. More importantly, subscribe. That's huge. I never forget the one guy that I know said, "Oh, I can't subscribe to you because, I already have too many monthly payments." I said, "Are you really that stupid? You're really that stupid. It costs nothing. I'm not interested in taking any of your monies, Okay? The fact that you guys show up and we interact with each other to some degree or another is good enough for me. Fortunately, I don't need any of your money. I'm not one of those people that's saying, you know, I quit my job and now I need people to fund me like some people. And I don't have a problem if they do that either. I mean, that's their, you know, people are out there panhandling. They don't get my money, you know. Just let's hang out together, you know. That's it. It's not too big an ask. You know, and in return, I'm not pulling any punches. I find cool shit. I want you guys to know about it. I'm not gonna like, hey, I don't want all these tricks. I want people to think I'm a wizard, and I don't want to teach people how I make things. No, this shit's easy. I've just been doing it for a while, and I generally get a thrill that I could show you guys something that maybe you guys are having issues with, and get you over some kind of this thing needs to spend its time upside down, and being penitent. There's still pain in there, but you know, I've learned a lot of stuff for free. No, I guess we need to shake it some from other people on the internet, and it's just my way of giving back. You know, the hand sanitizer right there, cleaning brushes with hand sanitizer, and the paint off your hands with hand sanitizer, and it works really well for Vallejo's primer, which that stuff is a pain to get off your hands. A pain. Just touch up a few spots that didn't come out. They came out less than ideal. I saw a little bit of white poking itself around here. So I gotta watch this Wagner group. Are we gonna have a storming of the Kremlin like we had? Their July 6th is gonna be like our January 6th. Yeah, I have a feeling that the Wagner group is probably a little bit better armed than the people at the Capitol. Just a guess. But no, I don't hear about none of that stuff. I'm not really in the know. Okay. Let's get some tufts. And yeah, there's a little bit of white showing up down there. I bet I could cover that with, let's see. Let's thin this down a little bit. Now I can't see it. What angle is it? It's this angle. Okay, that should do it. All right, let's get the old Elmer's glue out. Or PVA, as some of you guys call it. Shake before use. How the fuck are you gonna shake this thing? We'll just use this for now. And let's get a paintbrush we don't love so much. And my tool, which should be around here, very close by. Of course, I can't see it because I'm blind as shit. Yeah, so this is working well, keeping your paint cup off to the side here with one of these cup holders. Pretty handy, getting it out of the way. Made some more space here to operate. Sounds like the Don Cossacks, who are tasked as paramilitaries these days, have either given up their internal security posts or outright joined Wagner. Well, hopefully it's a calm coup like there was in '91. I hate freaking nukes, man. It totally just, that's a big wild card. All right, so we have a problem here with maybe something showing, so let's use the nothing of that conflict has made any sense to me on any level. Like, how is it, you know, how has it been so difficult for the Russians? Did we underestimate them, or is it something at work that, and I'm not a conspiracy person, it just doesn't make sense. Okay, where is, this should be in its normal location, and that's where it is. They're fighting their way inside Russia. Never thought I'd see this already. Yeah. Okay, that's all we need for here. I mean, we're going to still have tufts on here, but just something else to break up the monotony of it. I do the same thing with the small turret KV. I never called it that. I saw that recently. Small turret KV. Like, this is still a pretty big turret, but I mean, compared to the other one, yeah, I guess it is the small turret KV. If that's your only two choices. I have shied away from my love of static grass. I don't use it as much as I used to. Your taste can develop and change over time as you see what works for you, what doesn't, influenced by what you see other people do. Okay, small turret KV. Now, let's go grab the tufts, which should be pretty handy. Glasses. Drop that old paintbrush there, get rid of that. That's one of them. as I get organized, and then I just move things off to the side and never go and fix them. Dark green shrubbery. Let me double check that. Aha. I stand corrected. It's not this one. This is the one I was using for the stands and figures. It's the rolling shrubs, which I ran out and had to buy more of. But I've done no vehicles since. I've seen lots reverting back to foam flock. Oh, I'll never do that. Along with tufts. I have some good news for me. My local train shop is expanding and they're going to start carrying Vallejo. Inquired about wargaming skills and the owner seemed open to testing the waters. I also asked about Pegasus Hobbies and their kits being out of stock. He said they seem to have some supply chain issues from China. So some kits go out of production for periods of time. I'd buy another 2 sets of these, you know, because I want to get some heavy armor KVs. You know, I wouldn't mind having 2 of these, 2 KV2s, and 2 heavy armor KV1s. And then that's good. Don't need to overdo it. Now, the problem with some of these tufts is they look a little different sometimes. Like these, I think, are a little bit more green looking than the last batch that I got. 4 should do it because we're going to cut them in half, probably in pieces. And then the Portuguese tufts. Gamer's grass. A local game shop. What, the local train place. What's that like? Having one of them. It's called the early 90s. You know, the game store, one of the game stores here in town has a full rack of all the Vallejo stuff. But I don't really go through that much paint. But it's just nice when you have to rebuy stuff. Yeah, I guess I'll use another one. I remember to look up, see if any of the KV kits had no way. British intel says the Wagner Group may already be in control of military facilities in Voronezh, halfway to Moscow from Rostov-on-Don. I guess it's going to get real interesting. Any reason why they're revolting, not paying? None of that makes sense. Why they would invade to begin with. why when they invaded that it would go that sideways like it has been. It just doesn't make any sense, you know, from a logical standpoint. You know, I remember when it first started, I said, there's more going on here than we think. And I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I don't think Putin is a dumbass. I mean, I could be wrong, you know, but I mean, if the guy's been in power for so long, you know, the guy's, I guess, doing some stuff right, but maybe he just got lucky. You know, somebody who was a war gamer would not do shit like that. Which are just things that just we wouldn't do. Like, that's not going to work out well. But some of us are more experienced military commanders than some actual military commanders. Wagner leader Prigozhin feels he was betrayed by the corrupt leadership of the Russian army. Once they deal with him, I'm sure he'll continue his push. Yeah. I would not deal well with corruption either. How do you say his name? Prigozhin. That's how I would say it. I just know that whatever happens, the Chinese are going to be on the winning team. They always seem to be. And I don't hate the Chinese because they're Chinese. I hate the Chinese because they're freaking communist and they win no matter what. So that's what I'd really like to see lose. I know there's decent people in China that are just trying to keep their heads low. I get it. My dad came from a country that got taken over by dictatorship, so I get it. The initial invasion had no coordination, and when the first wave of volunteers were used up, they lost to determined soldiers willing to prosecute attacks. Okay, here I go. I'm going to quote Tick now. But is that really the case? I don't know. I just don't think that we... You know, I mean, that sounds right, but is it? You know. I think there's stuff going on. We don't have a clue. And it's probably better, because if we knew, some people would take up arms. Not in the UK. You guys don't have those anymore. I can't watch those kind of like current event shows and stuff. I have nobody in my family that's been in the military. But, you know, stuff like that. Terminal list and stuff, I had to stop watching. I was getting so freaking angry. Of officials playing both sides and shit like that. That just... The idea that anything remotely like that could be possibly going on is just infuriating to an unbelievable level. You still keep our pitchfork sharp. Well, just let us know. We can supply you if we need to. Oh, man. All in fun games, of course. Okay. Let's see what we've got. Speaking of Russians. And these don't look very good here because the camera's all messed up. We'll have to take pictures and put them on Facebook. And they don't look that bad either, but they look better in actual photos. So the small turret and large turret KVs are complete. So I opted not to put an antenna here. I can always go back and do that later. I just didn't want to cogitate about it. So, okay. Two more for the just to see, even though this is 1/87 scale, here's a T35. It's still a behemoth. So I think it looks just fine having a 1/87 scale T35. You know, I had them. I got like 4 or 5 more to do. I think it's a cool vehicle. So they're a little under scale. Whatever. Let's get a T28 out here too. We got one with a fancy turret. Yeah, so I don't mind mid-10 scales. It doesn't bother me any. I mean, the color on them is just like exactly what I was looking for. But then you put something that's a small vehicle like a T70. This is a T70 chassis. You're like, yeah, this T20 is a little on the small side. But this is also, 1/72 scale. So it's a little on the large too. But I think it all works. They're all wargaming models. I got these. I already had this in stock, and I picked up some more. They're like $1 a piece. So I'm like, yeah, I can't pass that up. It's kind of hard to pass that up. So, yeah, at some point I'm going to do these other 2 turrets for the KVs. They're open. I got an open one for this and an open one for that. I decided not to get the AB miniatures crew. I'm just going to be happy with the plastic crew figures that I have. At some point, you just need to be happy with what you have and use it. That's my philosophy anyways. Instead of trying to chase perfection. Nice. Nice. Extra little tufts go up there. They get used on the next project. Okay. Really want to build some honeys. Really want to build some honeys for Operation Crusader, but we'll get there. They don't have them at Noble Knight, and I don't need them bad enough to get them from somebody else. So, okay. The last one. Yeah, that Wagner Group thing's turning into a hell of a movie, isn't it? just cut all the pieces out. It's really satisfying to drill out the barrels though. We'll leave these small pieces still attached. Not going to have a lot of extra parts on this one. Some are going to have a ton. The Panzer III sets are going to have a ton. One thing that I was really happy about the Panzer III set, and I suspect that's probably what I'm going to build tomorrow morning. Spoiler alert, is that they come with extra smoke candles on the to put on the side of the turret. Oh, look at this. This one broke. This one broke right there. And that's the one I need to use. No biggie. We can fix it on it. It's glued in place anyways. Prigozhin is saying Putin and Kremlin started the war under false pretenses, and now this war must end now. Read somewhere that Gaz AA trucks were copies of the Ford Model A. You're correct, with the AA version being a modified version. I wonder if one might be useful to use with French as a civilian vehicle. Yeah, the one with the single tire. Oh, now this one's broken too. Oh well, shit happens. Fuck it. It's not like it's not fixable. Okay, I think that's all of the parts that we're talking about here. Let me guess, these have the little flash thingies on the side. Of course they do. I think the video is off. Offbeat is second from the audio. Oh, well, I didn't change anything. I noticed that when I look at the video, it like hesitates at times. But it's clearer. You'd think it'd work better connecting direct than through wireless. Stop probably any moment, so it's probably not worth fooling with that. So yeah, I really like this plastic. This material that they use was really a really good material. Main thing is when you cut this is basically try to cut out, not cut in, because otherwise you'll nick this. So I'm pulling out when I'm cutting this. I'm kind of doing this. And not trying to get everything on one pass. Which is, you know, when you're a kid, you're breaking this thing off the sprue, you're like wanting to do one cut, like cut it exactly where it needs to be, and it just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work out. Now this one, it sits flush on this, so that one I'm not so worried about. It's also hidden. Still come in and scrape this up for a little bit better purchase. And then the same thing on this side. This is actually a really a good vehicle to use in a skirmish game because it has no machine guns and it's open top. So it's got lots of weaknesses that infantry can exploit if they're get too close to them. And the reality is that in actual scale, the entire board is close range for everybody. Actually, the entire board is damn near point blank range for everybody. It's just literally a melee. I actually have some leftover track sections from the T-70s, so we can doctor some of these up. Maybe add a track section in one of them. Make them look a little different. Give them a little bit of personality. Just because they're Soviet vehicles doesn't mean you got to make them all the same and look boring. You want people to get excited about playing Russians, make them exciting. You don't have to do anything outlandish, but it's got to give them some personality. This thing actually has some nice detail to it. Some of my favorite vehicles to paint lately have been Soviet vehicles. Just a lot of fun taking something that people go, they're just boring, and then not make them boring, you know. Why can't they be cool? Same thing with Shermans. It's all gotta be boring. All right. I sense a problem with something that's got to be fixed here in a moment. Yes, a fitting issue. Although, really calling it a problem at this stage probably isn't one. Man, it almost fits in there. No. Close that up just for good measure. just take a little piece, just a little notch out of this. How long have we been on here? 3.5 hours? Wow. Awesome. We got to cut out soon, but we almost got these 3 done. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and just nix it now. I'll probably finish this one on my own time. And tomorrow morning, we're probably going to work on the Panzer IIIs. That's just my guess. It will probably do. But as always, thanks for stopping by, folks. And we'll catch you guys soon on the next one.